Okay, so what we have done is using my favorite epoxy, DevCon plastic weld. We have joined the front and the back, XP5 foregrip and the airsoft foregrip together. Best to apply epoxy to the inside and the back of this foregrip, and then put the XP5 foregrip onto the X7, put the push pins in to make sure you have the alignment and everything correct. And then on the front of the XP5 portion, put some epoxy in there too. And then put your barrel on, put the airsoft foregrip on, put them together, put in your barrel, and just hold them in place. The DevCon stuff dries really quick, and make sure that it aligns from the back as well as the side. We're going to go over this downward slope with Bondo and make it all nice and even, but right now we're going to clean the excess epoxy, the runoff, off a little bit. Alright, so I smoothed it off a little bit, just a lot. It's not finished yet. If you look from the bottom, you could see that the main side that always faces you when you take your pictures of your X7 lines up pretty decent. This back side, however, has this tall lip that always, no matter how many of these you make, it always comes out from the side a little bit. So you want to continue this line up and through. You gotta shave from here back. So best way to do that is with sandpaper, or with, I know it sounds weird, but you put a metal cutting blade on your saw, and it actually, you can use it just like a grinder for plastic. It's really nice when you just put plastic right on the side of the blade, it grinds it down. So we're going to try to make this back cyclone side nice and even. Alright, this is the back cyclone side. I took it to the side of my saw blade to even it out. You could see how there is a slight little bump. I'll sand that out, put a little Bondo, and this is all rough, but Bondo fixes a ton. And it'll also help if you take some of your two-part epoxy and just, stick it in there in all the little cracks with a Q-tip. Make sure it gets in there nice and tight and you get a nice seal. The bottom profile is all lined up. Now what we need to get rid of is the transition from this back part to the front part, how we have the gap there on the bottom. We still, as you can see, have all of these little crappy looking areas on the seam here. This really has to be made to look really nice, especially the gap there and there. So in order to do that, we are going to use either Bondo or just an all-purpose putty with the hardening agent. You can get these at any hardware store, Home Depot, Lowe's, little mom and pop lumber hardware stores. Can of this is about 12 bucks, and there's like $2. And you pretty much mix, some of that goop into a cup or any type of disposable receptacle. Squeeze some of this onto it, mix it together, and then apply it over the seams. It'll set in about 15 minutes, and then it's ready to be sanded. We're gonna do a couple passes over it to make sure we get rid of all the seams. Okay, you can see how I've mixed the two together in a plastic cup. I like using these because they're really cheap and you can throw them away and not really care about it. Sorry, Mother Nature. And you can see also how I put a thick layer of it on the back and all the way around. Overlap the seams on either side, but focus more on coming back with it, and all the way around, even on the top. And it'll take about 15 minutes from now, and we'll sand it, and I'll show you what it looks like after it's being sanded. We'll probably have to hit it with one more. Okay, the Bondo has set, and I have spent the past half hour sanding and stuff with a mix of just regular sheet sandpaper and my Dremel. And you can see how, it's not perfect. I still need one more coat because there's little air bubbles and things like that in there, so I don't want any of those. And also to clean up the little edges, the tiny little areas. But you could see how the gap is much less noticeable, and it's going to match up a lot better. As well as the top, there isn't the downward slope anymore. It pretty much goes straight over. And we've cleaned up the seam all the way around with the Bondo. We just have to go over with one more coat, get it nice and clean, get rid of all the little bubbles, and get rid of the transitions. And then